Too Close to Call is a sports talk radio
Saludos
show.
amigos, los invitamos a escuchar La Mesa Redonda, The Round Table, donde discutimos los temas del día, hablando de política, educación y otros temas, locales, regionales y mundiales, por USA la Radio. Yes? Oh, I didn't hear it. Okay. Señores oyentes de USA la Media, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda de Round Table desde el corazón de la ciudad del amor fraternal. Les habla Fernando Mendez, Christian Lacey, controlling the board, and we are expecting Councilwoman Maria Quiñones to join us later in the show, and perhaps our other colleagues who sometimes come to us. It is Violeta and Martin Pratt. It's to make it more difficult for the people to vote. And one of the ways in which they have made it more difficult is there is something called a naked ballot. Now, this, which means that the vote, your vote that you put in an envelope, has to go into a larger envelope, which is the one that is mailed. So be aware of those changes in case you are uh, doing this on your own and not at one of the different centers around the city. So there are ways to do this, and just please go to vote. Very important in this election to be engaged, to participate in our democracy that is under threat, undeniably under threat in this government. We have uh, a crisis both with COVID and the economy, and another important event like the census. Uh, there will be more of a push now also to register with the census to provide the right information. We know and if we don't not aware of that, we will repeat. It's very important to report the right number of people in your household. There is no need to fear immigration. And there is a need to register every member of your household because of what it entails as far as money, as far as political power. Let me explain. For each person that fails to report for the census, the city will lose approximately $2,500 over the next decade. So that's an awful lot of money for each individual if we have a heavy undercount. So be aware of that. This is not a moment to be afraid of immigration. They have no right to ask you any other questions. The form is fairly simple. If you have access to the internet, if you have access to a computer, you can do it. The census you can do on your computer or on your smartphone. And the questions are fairly simple. There's no requirement to be a citizen for the census. All we need to know is that you are a resident of Philadelphia or whatever county, whatever district you're in. So those are important facts regarding the census. And we need to keep promoting it among your friends, among your family. Again, no fear of ICE, no fear of reporting, of providing your name and providing the information that is required. It's not going to go anywhere beyond the census people, and this information is needed to have an accurate count. I emphasize again, we need to have an accurate count because we know that the powers that be are interested in not having us count every person. They can manipulate the system much better if we're not interested in participating. They can dictate terms for the number of congressmen or congresswomen, the number of congresspeople in a district. And all that is measured according to the population. And not to mention that the resources of the federal government will also be distributed according to the number of people in each district. So once again, register, suscríbase para el censo. Como dicen aquí, register to vote, register for the census. Give your information, de su información para el censo, de su información para votar. Hay que votar. Si usted califica para depositar un voto, es muy importante en esta democracia hacernos sentir. En mi opinión, esta es una de las elecciones más importantes en mi memoria. Nunca antes había ese sentimiento de que nuestra democracia está en peligro, de que hay fuerzas que están buscando menoscabar nuestras instituciones. So we need your vote. We need you to register. We need you to be present. So Maria has joined us. We're waiting for Maria Quinones to join us in a few minutes. Well, we are at a crucial stage in our nation right now. All our institutions are under threat. The expressed idea of this president that he would not accept the results of the election. No matter how many times our legislators, our senators and congressmen who are listening to this claim, they have to be concerned about a president that has said that he would not accept the results of the election if he loses. So the only acceptable outcome for this president apparently is a victory. and that's we know very well that it's that's no way to run an election. That's no way to address the needs of this nation. The president has already said that the mail-in vote is fraudulent, which we know is not exactly true. Mail in vote has been in practice in many states for a long time. And even some of the new states that have adopted it understand the process. So you can do that. Uh, but if you have any doubts, go in person, go in person and vote. Um, Actually, it doesn't matter. Vote whether you are voting Republican or Democrat. One consideration, though, for those of us who uh, do not support this president, one consideration in our vote is do not waste your vote giving it to a third party, to the Green Party or to the Libertarian Party. You might want to make a statement about where you are with respect to the politics in this nation, but this is not a time to express that belief. I think that a vote that doesn't go to Biden if you abstain from voting, you are helping the Republican Party to stay in power. We're not only concerned about the president, which we have already um, discovered, we have already slowly been revealed who this man is. And we are not hiding our um, opinion. We believe that he doesn't qualify to be president, but here we are. We have to choose, we have to vote, and as I say, exercise your vote. I mean, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, go to vote. But if you vote Democrat, that'll be much better. So apparently we have Maria Quinones has joined us.
Hola, Fernando. I've missed
Hola,
you
gusto
folks.
en verte. Aquí estamos de nuevo. No sé si oíste lo que estaba yo diciendo.
You are saying what everybody knows and thinks. This man is
Uh,
not qualified to be our leader, Chief.
Absolutely. I am really upset about this whole thing about he wants to be president for life. I mean, what are we, a banana republic or something? that
Well,
is,
he deserves a third term too. I mean, he's already started to talk about that that the whatever constitutional change so that he could have a third term.
oh, right. And so here's one simple phrase that really upset a lot of people, that is he has not declared that he will accept a peaceful transition of power, which is it.
That go it goes so against the American values around respect. I think never in my lifetime have I seen such kind of partisan disrespect to our democracy, to our constitution, to like it. Para mí, incredible. I can't even believe, And we at some point we have to start talking about his enablers, right? Because we know he's crazy. But think about all of the smart people who are enabling him and his craziness, because they're worse, right?
Oh, absolutely. I believe I lay blame at the feet of Mitch McConnell,
Yep.
Moscow Mitch, and Lindsey Graham,
Yep.
and well, all the Republicans in the Senate who've been silent when this president is threatening our democracy. They have not said anything.
So, the scary part is that his $1 trillion tax cut is worth more to them, right? And what else they think they can get than American lives, than our democracy, than our military, like the things that you always thought were like non-negotiable. We never really talk about, the big military budget. Like people have just learned that there's certain things that are protected, and we may not necessarily agree with it, but they speak to who we are as an American society. Like they've let this man stomp on all of that. I mean, our veterans are like, that to me is the most disgusting part. Él es loco. They are not.
Exactly. And I don't understand, for instance, John Kelly, who served as his chief of staff, um, Mattis, General Mattis, who was part of the cabinet. Uh, all these people, how could they even withstand being in the same room with this president? I don't know if you recall that cabinet meeting where everybody was supposed to lick his boots. That's what he wanted, I guess, and give him praise and honor for being able to be at that table.
Yeah, no, it is. What do we need to do so that we're never in this situation again where we forget our core values around humanity and decency, right? Like when you see these people praise him, like I look at Vice President Pence, now I think he's crazy too. There's a look in his eyes around when he's like President Trump and you're my president, and it's almost like if he's saying you're my God, and like it's crazy.
It's a classic scene when Trump puts his water under the table and Pence immediately mimics the same action at a cabinet meeting. It's like it's a video. You'll find it on YouTube. Pence removing his water from the table at the same time. It's
No,
like
the one that I like, and I was saying this to my husband last night. Somebody has to get a compilation of all the different times Melania Trump smacks his hand because she don't want to hold his hand.
right,
She's the only sane person in there, right? If somebody put all those scenes together where she like walks away from him or
right.
slaps his hands or like all of that, she's probably the only one that's going crazy. But she made a choice when she married him. She knew what she was marrying, right? Um,
Right.
but her physical and facial gestures are probably the only sincere ones you get out of the White House.
Oh, absolutely. I predict a quick separation and divorce after he leaves the presidency. She will see no use for him. Um,
Uh, Unbelievable.
anyway, but we were talking about the Republicans who have not supported him, uh, and it's only a handful of them. Um, but one of them, Susan Collins, what's wrong? Every time an issue comes up, she's supposed to be against Trump, and yet when the vote comes, she what happened to that idea?
If she, I know she has a close election. If she wins this election, shame on us.
If she
I
would,
mean,
absolutely, yeah, fool
shame on us.
fool me once, shame on you. Um, yeah, it's unbelievable.
But how
Well,
about how about Ted Cruz now justifying why we need a justice? Like
oh,
the
right,
hypocrisy of, oh my God, and who was it, Graham, who was like, keep the book, keep it on the record, who's like, no, we shouldn't have a vote before the election. Like
right.
the hypocrisy on that is astounding to me. Astounding that these people could look at themselves in the mirror in the morning.
Well, it is amazing. We do live in Alice in Wonderland because they can tell us, like right now, we are at in the middle of the day. They can say with total conviction to our faces, "This is midnight in America." They can say that, and without doubting that is a correct affirmation. And they do that with every issue. They do the same
Yeah, no,
thing.
it's no, it's crazy.
Ah, and that's only a couple of the issues. Well, Maria, closer to home. Let's talk a
Closer
little
to
bit
home.
closer to home.
Let's talk. Let's turn this anger into action, positive
Okay.
action. Vamos, vamos.
Um, what right now the situation in our city with COVID and with the closing of restaurants and opening partially, and that's one of the big branch of activity in this city, the restaurants in this city. and so many of them are upset that they cannot operate at you know 100%. So what is happening with this? Because they're one of the biggest employers in the city, by the way. So
Yeah, hospitality and tourism are such key components, and I'll tell you that council has been really aggressive on this. That's why you see the street closures. There was legislation that we quickly passed to allow this. We streamlined the situation. In fact, this week, Councilman Dom put in so that we can extend that to the end of the year. There are restaurants working about, how do you keep some of these outdoor cafes with some of these heat lamps. I'm a little torn around the issue of indoor capacity. I've been to places where I see really good protocols with plastic barriers where there isn't a 6 foot delineation, But, Fernando, unfortunately, when we legislate for the bad guys, not for the good guys, right? That's one of the things I've had to learn being in council because you want to set up the guidelines and you want to cooperate, but then you get the bad actors who don't follow the rules, right? But I went out for restaurant week. Went to Tequila's over one of your favorite places. Was just so happy to see his ability to be outside
sure.
and the 25% indoor capacity and watch a business like his really follow the protocols. And then I've been to a couple of places where that doesn't exist, and then you're like, wow. But I know for city council, there's been a hospitality work group. um, Council members, we've been meeting with the departments and really trying, just like we did with the construction industry. I managed the development work group that included water, streets, L&I, and the BIA, the development, just to get things moving because we need the economy to move. So I'm a little torn. I'm looking at the 25%. I know that the rest of the state is going to almost 100%. They're at 50, almost going to 100. I like to think, and I don't always agree with our health commissioner Farley. I like to think that we're going to land in a place that lets us transition into so maybe we go to 50% in a couple of weeks if people are following the protocols. But what worries me, Fernando, is these essential workers are the ones who had the least access to testing, the least
Right.
access to healthcare.
Exactly.
So we have to, this industry in particular needs to demonstrate that they care about their workers, not just their bottom line.
If you have just joined us, we're in a conversation with Concejal Maria Quiñones, addressing several issues that touch our city, with the economy, our country, with politics, and all of us with the census and this election that's coming up. Um, Maria, the city has was doing a lot better. As I mentioned, that we did another program before COVID. We were doing
Very
fairly well
well.
with the economy, and
Yes.
so what are the repercussions now for us?
So I think that part of what we were working with the budget, and as chair of appropriations, I'm a member of the budget work group, and originally we were looking at a $500 million shortfall. That number grew to 700 million in the budget process, and we had a very condensed 2 months, 3 months budget process. Um, we just did a hearing this week on Wednesday. We had like a 6 hour hearing from the Fiscal Stability Committee, chaired by Councilman Dom, where we had Pica and others come in. And because we delayed when the birth tax was due, it went from being due in June to July. We're still reconciling the numbers. The good news is that because what there were some industries that were closed, but there were some industries that didn't close. And what we're looking at is, those industries did a lot better than in previous years. So we're still reconciling. The good news is the numbers aren't as bad as projected, but it's hard to tell because of the due date changes. The city did receive almost $300 million in CARES money. We've been, debating how to best leverage and invest that money. Just this week, the administration announced that it was putting $15 million in CARES money into small business and small business relief, particularly
Mm-hmm.
small businesses of color that were hit really hard, the barbershops, the beauty salons that are tend to be, women owned or minority owned. So we want to be targeted to that. Last week, we doubled up the rental assistance from $750 to $1,500. And so, we're working on the rental assistance. So we're trying to be very focused on putting the money on the ground so that it circulates, right? Because
Mhm.
that's the best thing, as opposed to government feeling like it has to prop up all of these programs. The smart restart, the Chamber of Commerce is doing some work around this. We still don't have enough people of color, Latinos, and Blacks at
Right,
those tables talking about this. Um, and so, we need to make sure that um, we don't go back to normal, because COVID taught us that normal was not good for us. It was not good
right.
for our workers, and it was not good for our businesses.
Yeah, and now this crisis has also had sort of collateral damage because so many of our immigrants have lost their jobs. They have been unable to send money home. There come remittances. So
Mm-hmm.
places like Mexico and these countries in South America, Central America, Honduras, El Salvador, who depended,
Mm-hmm.
the families depended on the money sent by immigrants. They don't have that now. So it's a collateral damage.
Yeah, you know what? I hadn't really taken into account the fact that many of the people who leave their countries, right, who come here to work, are not only taking care of their family here, but taking their family back at home. So you're right. The economic exchange and impact is even broader than
Yes,
especially
right,
when where they're in countries where there's a lot of turmoil.
right. Another thing, well, it bears repeating that we should remain vigilant in terms of COVID with the masks and the washing our hands and all this.
Flu season coming, where I'm very scared about what the projections are around flu season.
Right. So, in the same context, how about sending the kids back to school?
We started the summer talking about a hybrid model. I think one of the things I want to say, and I try to always put this in context, Fernando, because I think people need to understand why there was a push for a hybrid model. We have many kids who are only safe in school buildings.
Mhm.
We have many kids who only eat in school buildings,
Right.
and we have many kids who only learn in school buildings, right? So I know that Dr. Height and the school district took a lot of heat, um, rightfully so, around with the teachers and others, because the building is not just kids. The adults in the building are also putting themselves in harm's way. But I want to always remind people that we have kids who are only safe in the building. We have kids who only eat in the building and only can learn in the building, right? And so when we talk about trying to balance the safety of and that reality with teachers who may have underlying health conditions, there's not a right answer, right? It's just the best prepared um, process that we can have. I know that there was a lot of contention with the school principals union, who didn't want principals going back into the school building. But if principals don't go back into the school building, we don't have a safety plan
You
for
don't have
if
the
we go.
tool.
No, and we don't have a safety plan. It We need, and we count on principals to tell us what they need in their building if we're going to go to a hybrid model, whether that's November or
Right.
January or February. So we need principals in the building to tell us. And principals have been going into the building since May. I have many personal friends who are principals and teachers, and they've been going into the building because they understand those 3 points that I brought up. But you know, we're in the middle of a teachers union contract, and rightfully so. The teachers expect a raise because the mayor gave a raise to the police, he gave a raise to fire, he gave a raise to everybody, right? So you're not going to tell teachers you don't get a raise when everybody else got a raise. I
Yeah.
understand that, but we need to make sure that the buildings are safe, and we need to make sure that we're going to follow a protocol in a hybrid model, um, that protects teachers but also understands the reality of the three issues that I just brought up. And I think we can find it. I know sometimes the rhetoric that you hear in the press um, doesn't appear that way, and I think this should be debated publicly. But there are parents who are struggling. I know the city propped up these access centers, but those access centers, even when they're all up, are only going to serve 6,000 kids. We have 175 school children in public and private schools in the city, um, and 6,000 in an access center for essential worker parents does not even begin to meet the need, let alone the digital divide and all the other things. So
Right.
this is not a time for government um, to work inefficiently, right? We can work hard and we can work stupid. We need to be efficient. We need to leverage. We need to leverage our daycare centers. We need to leverage everything we have um, to be able to provide, those critical services.
You speak of the digital divide, but we have Comcast in this city. What role are they played in this? Trying to
So
deal with
the city to its credit, came up with this digital fund that we have. That is, one, Comcast extended its essential services program, which is a 995 program for qualifying families till the end of the year. We created this digital fund that is going to spend millions of dollars providing support for those families who don't have access to that through hotspots and other things. Last June, I put forth a resolution around creating a permanent way of doing this. This summer, we've been working with advocates and in a work group. I will be presenting a piece of legislation that will provide for a more permanent solution to provide a digital divide and access, but one that also requires Comcast, Verizon, AT&T, because one of the Comcast has to do more, absolutely, right? And the
right.
995 plan is not enough. If you have four kids in the house and adults working, that broadband service is not sufficient to to
Exactly.
do to
Right.
do everything we have to do. So I'll be putting something forward very soon, Fernando, that I think, looking at LA and other cities that have done this. In LA, the LA Consolidated School District came up with a plan that permanently funds this, and we're looking at a way of creating a permanent fund that is funded through Comcast subscribers, Verizon, AT&T. Like I said, it's everybody, T-Mobile, everybody has to be part of this solution. With obviously Comcast being the biggest and the leader in this, but Verizon, AT&T, and others have to come up to the plate also. And again, this is one of those places where the economic divide is huge. Um, and so even how they built out their FiOS infrastructure, all of those things, how do they open up some of these hotspots? They're going to have to do more. And we can't just raise money to pay Comcast and Verizon to do business as usual. They have to do more.
Yeah, during this street administration, there was talk with, I remember Ken
Mm-hmm.
Trujillo was part of that administration. He was talking about the whole city being Wi-Fi. What happened to that
Mm-hmm.
idea?
Big business interests, Verizon, Comcast, all those people killed that idea. I mean, I think it's one of the biggest challenges we have. Comcast and Verizon are, as franchises, operate with an agreement with the city for us to give them access to our infrastructure for their businesses to operate. And I know that the franchise agreements are regulated by the federal government, but after this COVID situation, we all have to rethink how we do business and how they conduct business, and how this acts as an opportunity. I still believe that there should be a public access way of us doing this, right? And that, we fight if we got to go to court around those federal regulations that limit our ability to set that up. But we're at a different time and in a different place. I think, Fernando, in a post-COVID Floyd world, I think we can have certain conversations in the past we were scared to have.
Well, we have two important issues in front of us right now. One is the census, to register for the census, make yourself count. We have said many times as to the several reasons as to why that is important.
Why the courts are important. Why the courts are important. We keep talking about this. A federal judge yesterday told the Trump administration that they cannot close the census counting September 30th as planned and extended it to October 31st. What are the chances, verdad? Where we don't have executive power or a leader, our courts have been saviors, right? They were the saviors to removing the immigration questions that the president wanted on the census, which is why everybody needs to count. They're the reason why the census deadline is being extended. So, mi gente, we now have till October 31st to count in the census. You don't have to be a citizen to count, but if you don't count in this one, especially if you can't vote, we need to know you are here and contributing to Philadelphia's economy through your work, to the supports and needs of educational needs. So I can't tell you how important this is. We are at 55% counted, which means we still have a little bit less than halfway to go. And, we just got 33 days added to our ability to do it. So we got to do it. I know, Fernando, you've used your forums to
Yes.
highlight this, but this is
But
huge.
what are we in relation to the last census as far as the numbers registering?
Well, the what our census office has been putting out is that we're 55% counted. I don't know if we made it to 80% counted last time around or not.
Mm.
That's a question for your amigo, your liberal comunista amigo Pedro Rodriguez, or
he's,
socialist, ¿verdad?
he's,
Socialista,
he's,
socialista.
he's, he's busy on the phone right now talking to Putin. Um, uh,
Que
well,
se ponga a trabajar. He has an extra 33 days.
yeah, right. And the other giant issue in front of us is um, the vote in November, one of the most important votes in this generation or probably any generation. Uh, we and now we have the city has opened several centers where people can go and uh, do the whole process.
So people need to understand that the Trump administration sued the state of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We've been in court over the last couple of months for a couple of issues, and again, the courts sided with us. Courts. That's why judges are important. Now, from now on, I'm going to be very intentional on highlighting why judges are important. But
That's right.
so last Thursday, we won a court ruling that allowed us to do several things. One is it allowed us to expand our mail in voting options, right? And this is hugely important. It allowed the state of Pennsylvania to open what we're calling voting access centers. So, el martes, this Tuesday, the first nine of 17 centers are going to open up throughout the city of Philadelphia. I sent you that information, Fernando, so that you can put it on your Facebook and can
Right.
share it. And in the case of El Barrio, on Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock, I will be at Julia de Burgos at 4th and Lehigh having a press conference talking about COVID, talking about census, and talking about voting. But these access centers will allow people to come in, register, request a mail in ballot, and actually cast their vote. Never in my history, in my 33 plus years doing this election stuff, Fernando, had we had the opportunity to do all those three things at one time. And we will have 17 centers in the next 2 weeks to be able to do that. It allowed us to register till 15 days before the election. It used to be 30 days. So we have till October 19th to register. So these centers will be open 7 days a week. Hours will vary depending on center because the commissioner's office is really working hard to make sure that the center locations reflect the neighborhood, allow Saturday and Sunday hours so people can do it. You can, if you requested a mail-in vote, the ballots have not been mailed. They will start getting mailed soon because we were in court. You will be receiving your ballots. And if you don't trust the mail and you don't want to put it in the mail, you can go to these voting access centers and leave your mail in ballot there.
Right.
So, you know, I was amazed at how people are paying attention to this post office situation. So you can go to the mail center, the job centers, and leave your mail in vote. Or if you just want to go out to vote, the city is paying. We have doubled the amount of payment for election workers. We need to recruit 8,500 election workers so we can have all of our 1,000 polling locations open. And it looks like if you are in, there's a website, if you go onto phillyvotes.com, You can register there and become a poll worker. You will get paid $250 for the day because we intend to have all our polling places open. So we're telling young people.
So, where can you go to do this to enroll in that in those positions? Hello, I think Maria froze. Hello, Maria. I think you froze. Martin, are you there?
Sí, sí.
Yeah, I think Maria froze. I don't know what happened to her image.
It's Verizon and Comcast came for her.
Probably, yes. I think they're not happy with what she said.
No, really can't talk about. You definitely can't talk about Comcast. You can kind of dog Verizon out because Verizon's not really here. It's here, but it's not really here. but Comcast, ooh, Maria.
I think Maria left. Anyway,
that was it. I want to go to her press conference.
Yeah, so it's Tuesday at 11.
Tuesday at 11. Okay.
Yeah, so we did a double show with Maria today. We were together earlier in another show, and then I asked her to be on Usa La Media, and you know she plays a very important role in the city, and I think she's been
huge.
Yeah, she's been a good advocate for us. So, do you bring anything today? Any news that we should something we don't know?
No. It's just I'm just trying to deal with all the daily triggers from Mr. President.
Okay. Maria apologizes for having to leave, and she'll be back at some other point.
Okay.
Yeah, we were talking the very important things about the census and the election, and this is an important election because this president gives us more and more reasons to worry about our democracy. I mean, like every day.
And more and more reasons to hate him.
Huh?
I said more and more reasons to hate him.
Yes.
Daily.
Yeah. So for any of the MAGA people, you can send your messages to Martin Pratt.
Yeah, that's not gonna
happen. Very important election. I mean, I hope we get rid of McConnell and Lindsay. It's very difficult to get McConnell to go, but I wish we did.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think that he will be. It's going to be a close race for him, something he's never experienced before in his life in Kentucky.
Yeah, right. For the first time, he seems to be in jeopardy. I hope it's true, actually, because he's one individual that has been poisonous for our system.
And they keep disrespecting, Supreme Court Justice Ginsburg's legacy and her work.
Unbelievable. No respect for that at all. Yeah, I don't
think they get how many women really appreciate the things that she's done. Well, before even she became a Supreme Court justice.
Yes, she laid the groundwork for a lot of changes that benefited women and men, by the way.
Yeah. So I think this is a miscalculation on their part.
Yeah.
I don't think Trump had anything to do with it, but I think that the senators are showing not a lack of respect and a lack of just congeniality, just fairness. That's gonna hurt.
Basic decency, Martin, is just like
right.
Really.
Correct. Empathy, compassion, just congeniality. That used to be something that was, the legacy of that particular institution of politicians. Not the House was always a problem, right? The House had crazy people, but the Senate was always we're above that. We are senators. Now they've become, it's almost like the House people are quiet and the senators are idiots.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. I don't know why all what's happened to the Republicans? All of them, they sold their souls to the devil. What's going on?
Well, I think they feel like they want to win, and this is the concept of winning at any cost. This is almost like, remember Wall Street, the movie, and they say greed is good. We're
Right?
seeing that play out here in real time while a pandemic is happening.
Yeah.
I mean, they're almost basically like, there's no pandemic, it's not a problem. We shouldn't have to wear masks. I mean, it's just really bad. And I'm wondering what's going to happen to them, in 10 years. What will they be coming back on TV saying, I made a mistake? And, will the rest of the country be like, and nobody show up at their funerals? Nobody show up at their.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't understand, but Trump wants to be. He thinks he's going to win, and he thinks he is going to be president for life. Like we are a banana republic.
Oh yeah. Did you see what Mitch McConnell said about that?
What did he say?
McConnell, like, there's going to be peaceful. There's going to be peaceful transition. There's not going to be a.
He said that.
Like, he sounded like the guy who was like, "Why are you people listening to this fool? We know he's a jokester. We know he's not. Like, why do you keep taking him?" He sounded so frustrated. Like, really,
Well,
I'm not being asked this question.
Well, Nancy Pelosi said the same thing. Pretty much she said he can think whatever he wants to think about remaining in the White House, but we have other plans. So
Yeah.
it's absurd.
He wants to. Keeps, and it's interesting. It's an interesting strategy, to frustrate people. So they spend all their time being frustrated, and I think a columnist said it's like he lives off the tears of Democrats.
Yeah.
So, but I think to some point that's a really interesting concept, and I wonder how we're going to see it play out in other elections and other campaigns throughout the years, because it does frustrate the opposite side, and they spend so much time, and the media gets triggered by it, and it's like he can't stay in office. It's like we're arguing facts and laws as if they're bendable or they're flexible, and so you lose. Like, even this, I don't know if you've heard this rumor. I mean, it's not a rumor. The Atlantic magazine, but I feel like I now feel like the Atlantic. I'm looking at side eye as an actual media outlet, but they reported that he's asking people, can we get our own electors at the Electoral College?
Right.
Can Republican? And I mean, like, it's the Philadelphia State Attorney General was like, you can't do that. Why are we even having this discussion? No, you can't do that. The popular vote determines who the electors are, not the governor appointing somebody to be a flunky. That's not how. Like, and that's the frustration. It's this frustration of responding to dumb, ish.
Well, he wants to guarantee in the red states that they'll give him his vote, his support. Anyway, Martin, before we run out of time, I want to ask you, because in the era of Bill Barr, justice is not what it used to be, and we have this decision on the Breonna Taylor's case.
Yeah.
What he had to.
Well, part of the problem, I don't think that the average citizen watches Vice, but Vice had a really good video on this in August, and the boyfriend's attorney, not her attorney, but the boyfriend's attorney, put out a statement, said that she was killed because of gentrification. There is a program in Kentucky, which a lot of cities have this, and it's a HUD grant that gives a city $2, $3, $4, $5, $10 million. So that allows the city to refurbish an area or gentrify an area. So her block and around the corner are on that Renew Kentucky, I think it's called Renew Louisville or Louisville Renew. Anyway, the lawyer is saying that they've got paperwork, and they have the paperwork. It shows that there is a mayor aide. So this person who's not elected, but an aide to the mayor, put his name on the order to this specific department unit within the police department to go to that house and clear that house because it's a drug dealing house. If they can declare that house as drug dealing, then the city can basically eminent domain it.
Right.
So the mayor's name is not on the document, but his aide's name is on the document. And so I've never believed that the cops are going to be, there was no chance of them ever doing, it's nothing they can prove because they were following orders by the freaking mayor to clear that entire block and declare her house as a drug dealing house, which then gave the city that whole block for free almost. So I never had a problem, I never believed that we were going to see a situation where the cops are going to be convicted or charged or anything like that. So I mean, people have all these conspiracy theories about this guy being Mitch McConnell's son-in-law, his grandson-in-law, and he's not really black, and all this other stuff. But no one is talking about. I mean, Vice did, and crazily, Vice released it on a Saturday. Usually they release stuff to the middle of the week, but this video is on YouTube, and they sat down with the lawyer. They sat down, and they actually showed the mayor had a press conference last year in front of some projects, not tall buildings, but 3-4 stories, and the tenants in the projects. He was talking about this great program that was going to gentrify the neighborhood, and the tenants come out behind him. He was just an idiot. So the tenants come out behind him. They have an entire sheet, like 4 or 5 sheets stapled together that says no gentrification, and they have pots and pans. He runs off camera and runs away from his mic stand. This is the mayor who has a stand, microphone. The tenants we don't want no gentrification. We don't want. I mean, and so they have all this footage and these discussions and asking community activists, and they show the blocks that were being cleared by police. So this was a direct hit from the mayor's office and from whoever real estate developers wanted. And of course, again, with all this stuff, it's only 10% or 15% going to go back to low income housing. But my point is, this was not, they thought she was a drug dealer. This was they were ordered to clear that house. In order to clear that house, they have to label it as a drug dealer's house, and that's what happened.
Well, Martin, thank you for calling today. We ran out of time here.
Always.
I want to thank you again for participating in this discussion. We were in a conversation with Councilwoman Maria Quiñones, addressing all these issues of poverty and the census.
Where's her press conference? She said it's going to be a Lombard and 4th? Or
I'm not sure of the place, but I'm sure you can find information. It's on Tuesday
at 11.
Yeah.
Right, got it.
Okay, Martin, once again, thank you. Señores oyentes de USA la Media, nos despedimos aquí de ustedes en la mesa redonda de Round Table. Les habla Fernando Mendez, Christian Lacey at the controls. Hasta la próxima.